Alright, people. Midweek report time. So, recording this on a Wednesday evening. It's actually 9:30. So, I'm probably going to upload this Thursday morning. So, we normally do it Thursday evening, but I won't be in the country Thursday evening. And I won't have time to record it after that. So, we'll do it now. So, let's have a look-see at some of the latest news to come out of the world of boxing. And obviously the first one is we've seen this break today, and I think this is just, again, looking at this card on paper, it's just amazing. Terence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov. The full card has been announced. Obviously it's going to be headlined by Terence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov. We know that. Isaac Cruz versus Jose Valenzuela. Anytime I see Isaac Cruz, it's just brilliant. I love watching Isaac Cruz. I think he's tremendous. The nickname Pitbull is very fitting. He is a tremendous talent. Andy Ruiz versus Jarrell Miller. Again, that's a really, really interesting fight. What way is Andy Ruiz going to look? He hasn't had a good performance in over 5 years. What way is he going to look in there against Big Farmer Miller, who we just don't know what we're going to get with him? You know, very erratic character, coming off the back of a loss to Daniel Dubois. So we don't know what we're going to get there. Big Baby Anderson versus Martin Bakole. I'll just go back to that one. Andy Cruz, Antonio Morin, and Dave Morrell versus Kaladzik. Honestly, that is a card and then some. That card is phenomenal. But Jared Anderson versus Martin Bakole. Yeah, I really don't know what to make of that. It kind of came out of the blue. It was a really surprising announcement. Don't get me wrong, I love the fight. I think it's a tremendous fight. I think it's brilliant. But it does kind of go against what Bob Arum was talking about with Jared Anderson. I mean, you got to bear in mind, right? He fought Charles Martin. I think it was last year. I think it was last July thereabouts. And at that point, I mean, I think the original opponent was Kasabutsky. I don't think you could get a visa to fight that night. And they kind of pumped the brakes a little bit on Anderson at that point. You know, I think they were trying to fast track him, and they realized, okay, hang on a minute. You got the win over Charles Martin, but let's just rein it in a little bit. We'll slow it down a little bit. And they've been doing that, and you know, they haven't been doing bad. It's been good matchmaking since then. You know, his last fight he went the distance, and you know, against a very negative fighter as well. And you just kind of think, okay, he's learning, so let's gradually bring him up. This right here isn't gradually bringing him up. This is just like, you know, yeah, let's just shoot him 90 miles down the road. Because Martin Bakole is a legit top 10 heavyweight. He's legit. Martin Bakole is a tough night's work for any heavyweight. Seriously, he is a tough night's work for the likes of Fury, Joshua, Alexander Usyk. He's a tough night's work. Jared Anderson is still very, very green. Yes, he's a brilliant talent. He's very athletic. He throws a lot of punches. I love watching Anderson. But I just think this is a bridge too far, too soon. It's too much too soon. I think Bakole, it obviously is a big payday, because when I look at this fight on paper, I'm just kind of like, well, damn, that's not a fight if I was a matchmaker, I'd be doing for Bakole, or sorry, if I'd be doing for Anderson at this point in his career. It's a big risk, and Bakole is no joke. Ask Carlos Takam, Bakole is no joke in there. So yeah, that could be rough going for Jared Anderson. In terms of the fight itself, don't get me wrong, I love it. I think it's a tremendous fight. I just can't believe this card. It's absolutely brilliant. It's in LA. It will be a late one over here in the UK, but it is what it is. It's one of those cards where it's such a good card, you won't be staying up thinking, I have to get through a few kind of meaningless undercard fights. Now, every one of these fights, maybe with the exception of Andy Cruz, in of itself is a main event. And again, like the Matchroom Queensbury show, this is not even, all these fights apart from Crawford Madrimov are not even the main event. It's incredible. And Crawford Madrimov, I see a lot of people sleeping on that fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. I really do. I genuinely think that's going to be a really, really, really good fight. So I'm really happy with this card. Turki Al Sheikh has talked about the possibility of Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford at some point late this year, early next year. We still don't know. It's still quite early. You probably wouldn't know until maybe July time thereabouts who Canelo Alvarez is going to be facing next. But yeah, And Alexander Usyk, I should point out, has declared that he believes Terence Crawford would actually beat Canelo Alvarez. I'll quote him here. It says, "Terence is my friend, but he's a crazy man. I say Crawford wins. Listen, Crawford is a different man. Crawford works in two stances. He's a very, very, very smart man." That's what Alexander Usyk has to say about Terence Crawford. So he's backing Crawford to beat Canelo. Listen, Crawford Canelo, he's not coming up from welterweight. To see how he looks at 154, how big he is there, and maybe he'll do what Charlo did, and obviously he will go up 2 weight divisions. But that's an interesting one. That's a really, really interesting one. And apparently Canelo, we don't know what's going to happen with the IBF title, because Canelo versus William Skull, the purse bids have now been postponed until June the 13th, giving Canelo an additional week to decide whether he'll keep his IBF super middleweight world title or not, because obviously they will strip him if he doesn't go through with his mandatory. And speaking of, and talking about Alexander Usyk, he has declared that he is willing or considering moving down to cruiserweight after his rematch with Tyson Fury in a bid to become undisputed champion at cruiserweight for a second time. I think he's just saying this just, for a bit of fun. I don't think he actually means it, because to become undisputed champion again at cruiserweight, you'd be talking another, 2 years minimum. And that's after he fights Tyson Fury. He probably will be 40. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And Alexander Usyk runs the risk of getting beaten just by Father Time, not even by an opponent as well, but Father Time really being the killer. I don't think he will. I'd be surprised if Usyk sticks around after he fights Tyson Fury, win or lose. To be honest with you, I would be genuinely surprised if he sticks around. It could happen, but I'd be surprised if he sticks around, much less going down to cruiserweight. You got to think of it like this, right? He weighed 223 pounds against Tyson Fury. 23 pounds, when you haven't made that weight in 6 years, you're not going to make it again. No way, Jose. Ain't going to happen. Ain't gonna happen. This is disappointing news here. Jerome Boots Ennis versus Cody Crowley is now off. Crowley has reportedly failed a pre-fight eye exam. Plan is to find a replacement opponent. Oh, that's good, because I didn't know what they were doing, whether they were bidding it or not. I hope they get a replacement. The IBF top 15 at welterweight, it's not exactly stacked. This wasn't mandatory, to be fair, but again, it's not exactly stacked. So, look, Boots Ennis is such a talent. I'll watch him fight whoever, because I just think he's just unbelievably talented. But it's disappointing. Just to get that kind of mandatory out of the way you want to. But it's not Boots Ennis' fault, so the IBF, I would imagine, will take a bit more relaxed view on this than they have on other things. So there's that. Eddie Hearn has revealed that he and Frank Warren are eyeing up Matchroom versus Queensbury 5v5 Part 2 in either October or November in either Saudi Arabia or the UK. The concept works so well, and number 2 will be even bigger. We shall be back to settle the score. 5-0. That's hard to come back from. It's going to be interesting to see if they do it again. I mean, would there be rules? As in, like, if you were used on one 5v5 show, could they use you on another? I'd imagine they could. If they wanted to do it, probably would know. If the weight is the big thing, if I was Frank Warren, I'd be saying middleweight again, Hamza Shearer's Felix Cash. There you go, and make Hamza Shearer's favourite. If I was Eddie Hearn, do you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see both guys do it, and I said this with Ade a few times when we did videos together back in April, that a fight that I knew it didn't happen, but I'd love to see it, would just be a prospect versus a prospect. Matchroom versus Queensbury have a prospect and a prospect on the bill. I'm thinking Johnny Fisher, Moses Atelma. Why not? Matchroom versus Queensbury, prospect versus prospect. Heavyweight prospect versus heavyweight prospect. Why not? That's a brilliant idea. I think that would be brilliant if they could do something like that. But Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, if Eddie Hearn, even if he wins second time around, that 5-zip whitewash is going to hurt. Because let's say he wins, say, 3 fights to 2, 8 points to 6. It's not 10-zip, 5-0. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. Eddie Hearn has also declared that Jack Catterall, his next fight is being planned for late August in Manchester, potentially Regis Prograis or Arnold Barboza. Now, he has mentioned himself, Jack Catterall, that he wants to fight Teofimo Lopez, but yeah, look, Barboza is coming off the back of a very dubious win over Sean McComb, and Regis Prograis obviously lost to Devin Haney. So either one of those fights, it's a world. Well, one of them, Prograis certainly at least one point was a world level fighter. Barboza, don't really know where he's going to factor in and all that, to be honest with you. But yeah, let's see what Jack Catterall does. Danny Jacobs, haven't heard from him in a long time, and he is going to be facing Shane Mosley Jr. in a super middleweight clash on the undercard of Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal on July the 6th. I haven't seen Jacobs since he fought John Ryder. I think that was in Alexandra Palace. And I haven't seen him since then. I thought he was unlucky in that fight. I actually thought he beat John Ryder, to be honest with you, and was unlucky not to get the nod that night, to be honest. But Danny Jacobs, I think he's well past it at this. I thought he was a bit past it. Well, he looked past it certainly in that John Ryder fight, but just did enough to nick it. He should be beat. Look, Shane Mosley Jr. has been around for a long time, a long time. In fact, actually, did he fight a welterweight at one point? Maybe it was middleweight, but he's fought lighter than super middle. I know that. God, who has he fought? He's fought. Maybe he's always been a middleweight, but Shane Mosley Jr. is no great shakes at all. Danny Jacobs in his peak would have absolutely beat the living crap out of Shane Mosley Jr. But right now, you just don't know. This Saturday we have a fight card. Adrien Broner is headlining at the Hard Rock Hotel in Florida on a Don King show. I'll just say that again, just in case. Adrien Broner is headlining against Blair Cobbs on a Don King show at the Hard Rock Hotel in Florida. Yeah, and I wouldn't be at all shocked. When's the last time Blair Cobbs fought? Nearly 2 years ago against Maurice Hooker. He won that fight, actually. And now he's fighting Adrien Broner, who hasn't looked good in nearly a decade. Honestly, I thought, Broner, I didn't think there was any more he could do that would surprise me. And then he signs with Don King. Go figure. Michael Hunter is also in action on this card. He's against Cassius Chaney. And Cassius Chaney obviously is coming in 36 years old. Wow, I didn't realise he was that old. Cassius Chaney is coming in off the back of a devastating knockout win over Trevor Bryan. And that was really devastating. That was a mad knockout. Massive knockout. Michael Hunter, 35 years old. All I can say about Michael Hunter is he has been such a disappointing fighter, such a frustrating fighter, because he's so talented, he's so much potential. He's gone and squandered it all. He's made bad decisions. Shouldn't have left Eddie Hearn. I don't know did he leave Eddie Hearn in match, or did the contract expire, but did he not re-sign? Either way, he should have stayed with a major promoter. He should have stayed with Hasim Rahmi. He should never have gone to Triller. And now he's in the wilderness. And he's been in the wilderness for the last couple of years. And it's purely down to him. Now he's fighting Cassius Chaney on the Don King show. And Michael Hunter, the reason why it's so frustrating is he is so talented. There's so much potential there, which I think is gone now. He's 35 years old. And I don't know. It's frustrating. That really is frustrating when you see such a good fighter like that and not being able to fulfill his potential. It really is frustrating. Amir Khan, I'm serious. This is what it says. Amir Khan has now confirmed that he is deep in negotiation. Sorry, had to laugh there. He is deep in negotiations to fight KSI next. Yeah, Amir Khan versus KSI. Moving on. Anthony Yarde, Frank Warren, Queensbury. Good Lord, what's going on here? So, Anthony Yarde is saying he's now a free agent. Queensbury are saying he still has contractual obligations. It seems that the issue is stemming from Frank and Anthony Yarde's management, namely Tunde Ajayi. That doesn't surprise me. And you are dealing with two unbelievably shifty characters in Frank Warren and Tunde Ajayi. I mean, that's just it. With Frank Warren, I mean, his history is there for all to see. But Tunde has really shown himself to not be the most trustworthy character. And a character over the last few years who a lot of people really struggle to warm to, and someone who you wouldn't trust either. So when you see these two going at it, you're just kind of like, well, who do you trust? You know, who is kind of telling? I would imagine the truth of the story is somewhere in the middle. But you kind of feel for Anthony Yarde because he is the one in the middle now. And I've said this for a while now, and I've said it for a couple of years now, that for me, Anthony Yarde, 110, 120%, when he had the chance in 2020, and I think he did have a chance back then because he did change the team up a little bit, but he kept Tunde in the team. And I think crucially that was a mistake. I think that was a big mistake for Anthony Yarde. I don't think he should have stuck with Tunde. I think he should have just said, you know what, as good as you've been to me, and you know, you taught me how to box, you're doing good, you took me to a certain point, I need to move on because I don't have much long left in my career, and I need to maximize earnings, I need to maximize my talent. And he just didn't do that. And I think now he is he's in a mess. That's the best way to describe it. He's in a mess because where does he go? You can't, if he leaves Frank Warren, who does he go with? Because Frank Warren is doing the Saudi shows. Frank Warren is, between him and Eddie Hearn, they're the two main guys in the UK. He's not going to get the same money with someone like a Ben Shalom. He's not as big a name as Tunde Ajayi thinks he is, that he can just go from promoter to promoter to promoter and fans will just flock to see his fights. It's not going to happen. So I really don't know. I really don't know what to make of this. And look, again, you know, it's frustrating because I've always said there's one thing I hate seeing. It's a fighter not make the most of his potential, whatever level that may be. Anthony Yarde has world level potential. He's 32 years old though. How long, and I think he's going on 33, how long can he keep that? But I think the last few years have been frustrating to say the least, and I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know what's going on there. This fight right here, Frank Warren revealed this on TalkSport. Joshua versus Dubois, now in talks for an all-British clash on the 21st of September in Wembley Stadium. Frank Warren has now revealed. Honestly, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I absolutely love that fight. I think it's absolutely tremendous. I think that Joshua Dubois, for me as a boxing fan, has just carnage written all over it. And that's a good thing because I think that we are going to see a really entertaining fight, if of course it happens. At the minute now, it seems that Dubois is the lead contender to face Anthony Joshua, but there's no guarantee it will be him. We're also hearing the names Joseph Parker being knocked around. We're hearing the names Zhilei Zhang being knocked around, but the front runner certainly seems to be Daniel Dubois, and we should roughly know in the next couple of weeks because we're hearing rumours anyway that it's the end of June is when the Saudis are going to have a press conference in London, most likely, to announce this whole card. And again, not to just announce the fight, I would imagine to announce the card. And one of the things I love when you are waiting for the press conference, you're hearing the rumours going around and you're hearing this guy might be on the card or this guy, and it's fantastic. So yeah, look, if it happens, happy days. I'm more looking forward to kind of as well seeing who's on the card and who else is going to be there. But Dubois versus Joshua, honestly, Joshua has been there, seen it, done it, and he wants to do it again. Daniel Dubois wants to go there and do it. And both guys have a point to prove. Both guys are going to come. Well, both guys are coming into this fight off good form. You know, I know Daniel Dubois has the better wins, and as far as I'm concerned, beating Miller and beating Hergovich is better than beating Valine and beating Francis Ngannou. But they were confidence builders. Joshua's confidence seems like it's very good now, as does Daniel Dubois. So, look, I mean, I'm all for this fight. I really am. I think it's going to be great. I think that an all-British affair at Wembley Stadium, it might have a world title on the line, it might not. We don't really fully know what's going to happen with the IBF title at the minute anyway. I would imagine, considering the fact that Hergovich was mandatory and now he's lost, it would potentially go back to as in reset. So Usyk may still be undisputed going into the Fury rematch. We just don't know yet. But look, Joshua versus Dubois, I absolutely love the fight. I think it's fantastic. In terms of other news, before we finish up here, let's have an old look-see on boxing scene really, really quickly. Chris Algieri's school of thought, Wilder should retire and leave Dubois to shoot it out with Joshua. I agree, 100%. I think that Deontay Wilder, I think his mother was even saying that, you know, enough's enough. Let's do something else. And I agree. As I said, you know, Deontay Wilder has given me so many entertaining nights, so much fun over the years just to sit up and watch, and that was enough to make me sad seeing him like that in the Zhilei Zhang fight. And I think that it's not going to get any better. As much as he might try and tell himself it can get better, it's not going to get any better. It's not. It's just not. And bow out with your head held high. Because you had a good career. You made an absolute insane amount of money. You were one of the most entertaining fighters for many, many years. Bow out. That's it. Don't let yourself get hurt. Hearn tips Fisher for British title if he beats Babic. Yeah, they had the press conference for Alan Babic, Filip Hrgovic today. It's going to be happening in the Copper Box up in Stratford on July the 6th, I think. It's a good fight. It's going to be a fun fight. Alan Babic expecting the referee to rescue Fisher when they clash. Listen, that fight's not going to last. It's not going to go long. It's going to be a quick fight regardless who wins, but it is going to be a war. Oh, good Lord. It's going to be fun. It is going to be fun. Usyk set for big screen role alongside Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Okay. Let's see how... The Rock. I've never been the biggest fan of his in movies, to be honest with you. Never been the biggest fan of I've seen a couple of movies The Rock's been in, and he's just kind of, just alright. Just alright. His movies are just okay. Eddie Hearn, Deontay Wilder is not the fighter he was. No, I agree. I don't think he's the fighter he once was, and I think that, it's sad to see him go out like that, but look, he's had a good career, as I said. I think that's pretty much it. So, lads and lassies, I will leave it there. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you all have a great day Thursday when this goes out, and I'll bring in equipment over with me to London, viewing flats this weekend. Hopefully we can get one. Hopefully we put a deposit down on one. And yeah, I will be doing that, and I'll be back here on Monday evening. So until then, I have some videos already recorded in the pipeline. There you go. I think ahead. I've spent the last hour recording videos, so I've been talking a lot. I'm dying for a drink of water. But yeah, I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. As always, people, I should say. I've been talking so much, I'm repeating myself. Go figure. I will talk to you. Peace.